Welcome to PodApplaud, the Monday through Friday podcast that aims to enable your podcast habit. I'm your host, Seb, and today we're going to take a look at the podcast Snark Tank. Before anything, let me clarify there are currently two podcasts that are using the name Snark Tank. One is called Snark Tank, the other is The Snark Tank. I'm here to talk about Snark Tank, which is a roundtable show between three friends who poke fun at the worst inventions, products, and Kickstarters capitalism has to offer. To further differentiate, their podcast art cover is a groovy light bulb. Currently, they are at 16 episodes with no set release schedule. Their Twitter claims every second Wednesday, but it looks to be more like 2 releases a month, give or take. Episodes are between 35 minutes to an hour long, trending more towards the longer end of the scale. I really like the idea behind Snark Tank. It should be apparent to most people living in the Western world that we live in a land of excess. I understand not everyone can afford said excess, but that's a discussion for another time. I really like the idea of poking fun at all the genuinely bad and useless crap that gets put out on the marketplace. Snark Tank does a pretty decent job at poking fun of this type of junk. They have a really kicking intro song in well-balanced audio between the three speakers, so I can definitely give them props on their audio. The conversation and quips between the host is great and really props up the show. Whenever they are trash-talking bad product ideas or goofing off, the show is impeccable. There are a few places where the show could make improvements. The main bulk of the show is fantastic. These folks are very entertaining. They have the types of personalities that are just begging to be on a podcast. My main critique is that the structure of the podcast doesn't seem well thought out. They have a weird 5-minute segment where one of the hosts talks about snacks. There's also a segment that makes sense for the show, in which they mention ideas and products that actually seem promising, but they haven't named this segment after 16 episodes. They announce it as the unnamed segment every episode. Then they have another segment, which is hot takes. Alright, here's my hot take. I feel like podcasters having a portion of the show do hot takes is kind of played out. I get it. You acknowledge your opinion is controversial to display awareness and reduce being raged at by the internet. But at the same time, it's a bit tropey in 2019, and no matter what you do, the internet is never going to be happy. Lastly, they have a tongue-in-cheek rating system in which they rate shows out of flux capacitors, like 2 flux capacitors out of 5. And sometimes they throw in a hoverboard, which I'm guessing is worth half a point. It was cute and funny the first time, but after 16 episodes, it just doesn't make much sense. I think they could play off their show title and parody Shark Tank. So instead of rating, they could say how much they would be willing to invest in the product in a funny way. They could say something like, I would be willing to invest negative 35.3 hoverboards, but don't make it hoverboards every time, right? That being said, I'm about to jump into my own generic rating system. Here on PodApplaud, I rate shows on a 1 to 5 scale. 1 is silence, 2 is a slow clap, 3 is applause, 4 is a round of applause, and 5, of course, is a standing ovation. Snark Tank, for me, is a 3 out of 5. And to be fair, I probably will keep listening to it. The personality in the show in their conversation is tip-top. I just think they could really benefit from sitting down and thinking out the structure of the show a bit more. If you love watching and poking fun at late-night TV infomercials or laughing at bargain bin junk, this show will be right up your alley. That's been the show for today. I hope you found it valuable. If you wish to reach out to me, you can find me on Twitter at PodApplaud or send an email to podapplaud@gmail.com. Thank you for listening, and please tune in again.